Hello guys, TavHD here and welcome back to another video. Now this is my printer. This is an Epson XP 3100 and about a year and a half ago I unboxed this here on my channel, and today we are going to be doing something to this printer. We are going to be making it chipless thanks to inkchip.net. Now full disclosure, inkchip.net has provided me the key for the purpose of this video, but everything I say in this is my own opinions and you will get a perfectly honest video today. So inkchip.net is a solution for chipless printing, and it allows you to update your printer with a special chipless firmware so that you don't need to worry about all the chips that go on relating to the ink. It won't report your ink level, but that is a good thing. It means that when there's still ink left in the cartridges, you can keep on using it. Right now, some of my ink levels are low, the others are high, but it's getting upset and telling me that I need to replace all my ink. So with this firmware installed, that won't be a problem and I can actually keep on printing until the ink is actually empty. So without messing around for too long, let's get started with this. So you will need to connect your printer to your computer with a USB cable. This printer uses a USB type B connection on the printer, and I've connected that over type A to my computer. You also need to provide power, but don't turn it on yet. There's some things we need to do on the computer, and the computer you need must be running Windows. There isn't a Linux or Mac OS version of the software, so you must do this on Windows. So let's jump straight into it. Okay, so I am now on my computer and I've gone straight to inkchip.net, and this is the home page where it explains exactly what they do. So why choose them? Fast order delivery, multi-language support, supports new models, online payments. Their experts answer within 24 hours and you can ask questions and find answers on their forums. There's some customer reviews down here, very positive of course, and there's some ways to contact them here as well. Now I already have a code so I can go straight over to soft, but if not you can purchase on here. So I will now click on soft at the top and this shows all the different printers which are supported. So let's just take a look at all of these. There we go, so that is a lot of supported models, and I have now found mine, the XP 3100. This specific one also supports the 3105 as well as the EW452A, and as you can see this is a newly added one, so it's great to see that there is support for my printer. Now you can watch their YouTube video on how to do this install. I have watched this, it is very helpful, so you can watch that if you like. Now we need to download the firmware and also the activation, and there's also instructions you can download as well. So I am now going to download the firmware. Make sure I get the correct one. Let's download this. We will have to save that and let's just wait for it to download. This is only a 15.8 megabyte file, so it should not take too long. While we're at it, we also need to download the activation, so let's let it download that too, and I'll come back once these have finished. Okay, so I am now back at the printer and we need to put it into the special firmware changing mode. So to do that it needs to of course be plugged into the computer as well as power, and I have done that, and then we're going to have to press a special key combination. So what we need to do is press cancel, down, left and power, and after 5 seconds it should boot up into this special mode. There we go, and I've just heard my computer, it has now recognized that the printer is connected. Okay, so we are now back on my computer, and here in my downloads folder are the two pieces of software we had to install. Now first we need to open the firmware, but as you can see this is a .rar file that cannot be natively opened by Windows, so you can use a piece of software such as 7-zip to extract this. So right click, go over 7-zip, and let's extract these files. Now I'm going to just have them extract to the downloads folder, and now that it's done that, in this folder is everything that we need, and here is the application which we can now open. And now it has opened, we need to go through this, so let's agree to that, and let's just make sure that we have done what this says. Turn the power off and on again, making sure there are no jobs in the print queue. Disconnect all cables from your computer except the power cord, any USB or Ethernet cable used for printing, and click next. So there's a few more warnings here, but that is all okay. Our printer is still in the correct mode, so let's now click onto next, and let's just click on start, and yes, let's let it do this. So if we now take a look at the screen on the printer, we can see that it is writing ROM data. It will go through quite a few different things during this process. This can take a few minutes, and at the end it should say that it's finished and been successful. So once that happens, I'll come back, and about 2 minutes later it looks like it has finished. So it says finish, and then there's loads of things there, including the ROM version. So it looks like this has now been successful. We now need to click on OK, and the printer should turn itself off. There we go, the printer has now powered off, and I've just heard it's disconnected from my computer. So I've now turned the printer back on, and the next thing we need to do is go back onto the computer and open up the activation software which we downloaded earlier. Okay, so here we are back on the computer. Make sure the correct printer is specified. Let's now click activate online and input your activation code, which you would have got when you bought a key. Now my key has been provided free of charge, of course, so I will just paste that in. I will blur it out so you don't have access to my key. Let's click OK, and now that has been successful. So you do need to keep a copy of the recovery code. That is recommended just in case you ever need that, so I will keep that somewhere safe for later. Okay, so here we are back looking at the printer. So let's turn it on just to make sure that this was successful. My printer does take a few times to turn it on. That's not a problem with the INKCHIP. That's just what this does. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time to load up, and then we can just make sure that everything is still working as it should. Okay, so as you can see, it's come up saying a new firmware is released. Update the firmware from the setup menu. Now this is not something you want to do. Now that the INKCHIP firmware has been installed, you should never install an update that the printer wants you to do. Now the reason for that is because if you do the firmware update that the printer wants, it will completely take off the INKCHIP firmware, then you'll have to do it again. So it's best to not do an update whenever the printer wants you to. So let's just click OK on that and ignore that. But as you can see here, looking at the ink levels, black, magenta, yellow and cyan are all showing up as full. Now before, I believe that cyan and magenta were quite low, meaning that it wouldn't let me print anything. It was just shouting at me saying to replace them, even though I only wanted to print in black and white. So now I should be able to do that without replacing the other inks. So that is that. We have successfully installed the INKCHIP firmware on my XP 3100, and it looks to be working just fine. So of course I'd like to thank inkchip.net for supplying the code for this video and giving me an opportunity to check it out, and I will be keeping this firmware on my printer. I won't just take it off straight away. I am going to keep it on because I do think that it will be very, very useful, and the prices are also very reasonable as well. So thank you very much, INKCHIP, for letting me do this. Now of course, don't update the firmware as I've just said, because that will rewrite over it and put the standard one back on, so you don't want to do that. Now I think that that will be the end of this video. I've covered everything that you need to know to work out how to install this firmware. So if you want to get in touch with INKCHIP, their website is inkchip.net, and all of their contact details will be in the description of this video as well as in a pinned comment. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this was interesting in some way, and thank you yet again, INKCHIP. So thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.